All right, if you're a man in recovery, let me ask you a question. What are you settling for that it's time to quit settling for? Now think about that answer. Think about the answer to that question. As a man in recovery, what are you settling for that it's time to quit settling for? Now, it doesn't mean you're going to, but it's time to. Is there something to do with your physical health? How about your mental clarity? Now, it doesn't matter whether you've been around 10 weeks, 10 months, or 10 years. I can promise you there's something that you're settling for that it's time to quit. What about your relationships? You know, relationships are one of the biggest causes of relapse. Is there something in your personal or professional relationships that you're settling for that it's time to quit settling for? What about your finances? What about your spiritual connection? You know, I say it all the time, recovery is one of the greatest personal, professional, and spiritual growth platforms. What got you to here is not going to get you to the next place. This is about personal, professional, and spiritual growth. And in this session, I'm going to share with you 4 things that if you will take ownership of today. This isn't a next month, next week, next month, next year thing. This is something that has actionable, measurable, and immediate results that if you take ownership of these 4 things today, you can begin strengthening your recovery and supercharging your life because of it. Now, if we haven't met yet, let me introduce myself. My name is Mark Mascola. I'm going to want to welcome you to Powerless to Powerful. This is the #1 positive side of addiction podcast for men. If you're listening to this in audio, where we launched it several years ago, there have been tens of thousands of downloads. Man, welcome to you. If you make this one of your positive addictions, we sure are glad you're here. But if you are watching in one of the new video platforms, we want to welcome you as well. We're going to make a continued effort to post these videos weekly so you can get inspirational content about being and becoming the best and most powerful version of you personally, professionally, spiritually, in your recovery and in your life because of it. I created Powerless to Powerful to empower men to, #1, understand the power in their addictive personality and awaken their true identity that is not defined by their addiction, an identity that has its foundation in their masculine walk with God. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that so you can be involved in lots of empowering information that we're going to be sharing over the coming days, weeks, months, and years. So make sure that you subscribe so you can stay updated on all of the information. So again, today's session, we're going to talk about 4 things that you can take ownership of immediately that can strengthen your recovery. So taking ownership means that you take personal responsibility for something, right? Taking personal responsibility means that the results are up to you. Think about that. Taking personal responsibility means the results are up to you. You know, when I wrote about it in the updated version of the book, Powerless to Powerful, the 2025 edition that we launched in an audio format as well, so you can listen to it just like you do a podcast. One of the sections that I added in there was about the concept of the recovery quest. Quest is defined as an arduous journey, and there are 5 steps to the recovery quest. There's the assessment, true identity. The third one is what we're talking about today, personal responsibility. 4 is validation and the affirmation that you really can do this. And 5 is where you begin to make the world a better place by being a man of impact in your home and in your community. But today we're going to talk about personal responsibility. The #1 thing that you need to take ownership of is your clean date. You cannot have a revolving clean date. The truth of the matter is, you know, again, when I talk about quest, this is not easy stuff. It's simple, but it's not easy. Understand that the #1 thing you have to take ownership of is your clean date. You can't make that a revolving door. Too many men don't get the results that they came here to get because they don't take ownership of their clean date. And let me tell you, you have to guard that clean date with your life because your life depends on it. You know, my clean date is 7/29 of 1999. And when my counselor asked me if I was willing to go to any lengths to stay clean and sober, and I said yes, What is going to any lengths means? It means I protect, again, that clean date with my life because my life depends on it. Doesn't matter. I've been through a divorce, a bankruptcy, had a bout with cancer that like to killed me, but I've come back all of those things. I say it all the time in this whole concept of the adversity of life, being a man who is resilient. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked on your ass. It just matters that you keep getting back up. And if you keep getting back up, you will be introduced to a man that you never knew existed. That man is a more powerful version of yourself. But it begins with you taking personal responsibility, taking ownership of your clean date. Protect that date. The second thing to understand, the second thing that you have to take ownership of is take ownership of your journey. You know, there's not a one size fits all as it relates to your journey. Things I do may not work for you. Things you may do may not work for me. If you have someone that is telling you there's only one way to do this, they're lying to you. That's based on their experience, not yours. But here's what you have to understand. Relapse, and if this offends you, I'd rather you stay alive and be pissed off than I would for you to just not understand this. Relapse, when I talk about taking ownership of your clean date, taking ownership of your journey, relapse is not part of recovery. Relapse is part of addiction. It may be part of your story. It's part of many men's story. But relapse is addiction winning. Too many men lose their battle in their recovery and in their life. They end up, let's just call it what it is. They end up dying because they assume that they will have another chance. Some do, some don't. I was never convinced that I was willing to play that game of Russian roulette with a relapse. So I just never have. But understand, again, relapse can be part of your story, but it is not part of recovery. It is part of addiction. And again, if that offends you, I'd rather you be pissed off than alive than not have your feelings hurt and you keep assuming that you have chance after chance after chance. So again, the first two, take personal responsibility, take ownership of your clean date and your journey. Your results here are up to you, be they successful or unsuccessful. It's not up to your sponsor. It's not up to your group. It's not up to anybody else. Your success here is just like success in any area of your life. Your results, be they positive or negative, are up to you. And number 3, this is a tough one. You have to take personal responsibility. You have to take ownership for your past. Again, when I talk about the recovery quest, it is hard. It is an arduous journey to take personal responsibility for your past. You are where you are today because of decisions that you've made. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and stand toe-to-toe with you and argue about all of the things that you couldn't control, the circumstances, the people, all of the things in your life that you couldn't control that added to your addiction. But you have to understand this, the game of recovery and the game of life, when you're taking personal responsibility for the first 3 things, right? Your clean date, your journey, and your past, it means that you need to learn to control the controllables, right? Control the things that you can, and then understand that it's about controlling your reaction to the things that you can't control. Doesn't matter what happens, it's what you do about what happens. Now, listen, I know lots of people make it to addiction because they've had horrible circumstances in their past. But at some point, you've got to draw a line. Being a victor in recovery and a victor in your life means you are no longer a victim. You are no longer a victim. Do not allow your past to keep your future held hostage. And that's what we're going to talk about next. The first 3, again, take ownership of your clean date, your journey, and your past, and that frees you up to take ownership and personal responsibility of number 4, which is the biggest one. When you take personal responsibility for the first 3, it clears you up to take personal responsibility for your future. Again, your journey is up to you, but when you start taking personal responsibility for your future. You have a vision beyond your recovery that's just clean and sober. What does your life look like? And most importantly, feel like when you've put together quantity and quality of time that helps you not just be the best and most powerful version of you, but understand that there is a higher power called God that created you in the image and the likeness of the power itself. And that same power called God created you with and for a higher purpose. The end game, my brother, is not clean and sober. The end game is to live a God-centered, fulfillment-driven life because you're clean and sober. Long-term recovery is the result of creating the life you were meant to live. There is a purpose for your recovery and a purpose for your life because of it. And when you take personal responsibility and ownership for the first three, and you come to this number 4, you take personal responsibility for your future, you partner with God. You partner with a God that is beyond your understanding to co-create the life that you were meant to live. In closing, I'm going to tell you, I'm willing to say the one thing men in recovery want to say, but won't. It's not in my nature to be powerless. And I can assure you, my brother, it's not in yours either. Be sure and subscribe so you can get much more information about everything that we do. My name is Mark, and I'm a more powerful me because of my most powerful God. I went from powerless to powerful, and you can too. Be sure and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next session. Bye for now.